I signed a book agreement a week ago with St. Martin's Press. The book, the name of it will be Bold Colors. It'll be about my father. And it'll be about a speech that he gave in 1976 at the convention in Kansas City. A convention where he lost. A convention where afterwards I asked my father what he missed most about not winning the nomination of the Republican Party. And my father would tell me that what he missed most was not being able to sit down with the Secretary General of the Soviet Union, not to be able to talk to him in a way he felt American presidents had to deal with the Secretary General. He said, for so long I have watched American presidents sit down with Secretary Generals, and I've watched American presidents be told by the Soviet bloc what it was America was going to have to give up to get along with them. And to be honest with you, I'm tired of it. I wanted to be the President of the United States, the first one to sit down with the Secretary General of the Soviet Union. I was going to let him pick the chairs, the table, and the place. That's how they do it, you know, Michael. And as he was telling me, the American president, what it was I was going to have to give up to get along with them, I wanted to get up from my chair, walk around the other side of it, lean over and whisper in his ear, "Niet." I want to be the first one to say "niet" to a Secretary General of the Soviet Union. Little did we know that 10 years later, a place called Reykjavik, Iceland, 10 years and a couple of months, Mikhail Gorbachev would call my father there to sign an INF treaty. Many in my father's staff and government thought that this would be my father's legacy if he signed this agreement with Secretary General Mikhail Gorbachev. My father went to Iceland, and Gorbachev set a trap. He had all the media there on his side. And he said to my father, if you want me to sign the INF treaty, you have to give up something. You have to give up Star Wars. You have to give up SDI. I was the only one, I think, in the world that knew what the answer was going to be. Because he looked at Mikhail Gorbachev and he said, "Yet. I'm not going to give up Star Wars. I'm not going to give up SDI. I'm going to allow missile defense to be enacted." And he walked away. And he walked away stronger and sent a message to Mikhail Gorbachev. And that message at Reykjavik rang true. Because it was that and yet literally heard round the world that brought Mikhail Gorbachev back to the table to sign an INF treaty and allow the Berlin Wall to come down 20 years ago this next Monday. Because Ronald Reagan stayed true to his values he had to the core, taught to him by a mother and a father as a very young man. A missile defense shield that I know he would have wanted and allowed the people of Poland to have. And I'm sorry that, in fact, that has been taken away. But Ronald Reagan believed in this country and understood this country and understood what people in the rest of the world were living with because he had fought communism for so very, very long. The reason for the book and the reason I'm going to write it about 1976 is not the story I just shared with you, but the fact that my father had been asked, and he talked about this in his speech, to write a letter to the people who are going to be living in fact the tricentennial of the United States, the 300th birthday of the United States. It would be a letter that would be read 100 years hence. So it would be read in 2076. It was to be put into a time capsule. And my father talked about the daunting task of having to write a letter to a group of people who would know everything about us, but we would know nothing of them. And he talked about driving up to his ranch in San Ynez and looking at the beautiful blue ocean on his left and San Ynez Mountains on the right. And he thought about, what do I write about? Do I write about freedom? The freedoms that we enjoy today, and now the freedoms that you enjoy right here in Poland today. But he said, if we don't make the right decisions, if you don't make the right decisions, he said, then they may never even have the freedom to open up the time capsule to read the letter that in fact he had written. And it concerned him because decisions we make do affect those in the future of our world that we live in. He thought about writing about nuclear proliferation and those who had nuclear weapons. He thought to himself, those that live in the future will know whether we use them or not. They'll be aware. But he still decided to write about it. And that's what the book is going to be on. Writing about that letter, what might be in it, and how it might end. Because every day that goes by, we are writing an ending to that letter. And what will the ending be? Will we have made the right decisions for freedom? Economic and all the freedoms that go along with it? Or will we not make the right decisions for freedom? And if we don't, will people be able to read that letter in the United States? Or a similar letter written right here in Poland? It is so important to understand the daunting task that all of us have to freedom. The daunting task that all of us have to the young men and women who live in this area of the world. And the task that we have even in the United States, a country that has never not been free, who can easily lose their freedoms because of complacency. Complacency has replaced the evil empire. We can't allow complacency to win out in the future. We have got to become involved. We've got to stay involved. We have to build a Poland for the future and remind young people what it was like to live 21 years ago and never go back there. But let them understand it. Let them know the prices that were paid by the millions, the prices that were paid so you could be free and we could have this meeting, this economic meeting today. They need to know. And then move forward and make the right decisions for the future. And remember, your decisions will affect them as their decisions will affect their children and the future of Poland. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Michael Reagan, wielka, wspaniała osobowość. Dziękujemy bardzo. Myślę, proszę Państwa, że będę wyrazicielem odczuć nas wszystkich i gratulacje wielkie chyba należą się również samorządowi województwa łódzkiego, że udało się takiego znakomitego gościa pozyskać.